How's it going, everyone? This is just a quick sneak peek into what we're going to be building today. To give you guys a brief rundown, we're going to be building an automated newsletter system that takes niches that you choose from a Google Sheet and then scrapes Reddit content and turns that into a beautifully formatted page in your Notion database. And I've even included a way to market this content on social media so that people know it exists. So yeah, I'll go through everything. I'll show you guys how to set up your Google Sheet, how to create the Notion database and create that Notion integration with n8n. And I'll go through all the AI nodes and how to configure them. And then by the end of this video, you guys should have in your Notion database a beautifully formatted newsletter page like this with a resources section that includes the URLs that the AI did research on. So hopefully this is something that interests you and would be helpful for your business or your marketing content. And please feel free to follow along with me. You guys will see all the obstacles I run into and how I solve them, and you'll see how a real high ROI automation is built in real time. So I hope you enjoy, and now let's get started. So I already kind of talked about this in my last video, but I'll just reiterate for those who didn't watch that last video. But every time I build an automation, I always plan before I build an automation just so that I have a concept of what I need to do. So right here, I just have my plan that I quickly sketched out. And just to give you guys a brief overview of what I'm thinking, I'm just thinking we have a fully autonomous system that runs either weekly or every few days. And it'll go and grab some content from Reddit, see what people are interested in, find some trends, and then create a newsletter about that and make a LinkedIn post using the text content. And possibly add in an image, which, we'll see when we get there. But anyways, that's just kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, right here I've sketched out a little idea of what I think the workflow is going to look like. So to start off, we have our schedule trigger. And the reason I'm using a schedule trigger is because this means that the system is fully automated. There are other triggers in n8n like the form intake or the chat input or webhook. Webhook could also be fully automated, but for example with like the webhook, you need some sort of external stimuli to trigger the automation. But with the schedule trigger, it's fully internal and it'll just run on a fixed time interval and you will never have to worry about something else prompting it to start. So yeah, I want this to be fully automated, and so I'm going to start off with the schedule trigger. And then my idea is just like we had in our other workflow where we had a list of YouTube creators and we go through each creator and do some process on them. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to have a list of niches or a list of topics or ideas that we have. And these will be used as like our input to a Reddit scraper. Okay. And right here, I haven't looked at the Reddit scraper yet, so I don't know what sort of inputs these Reddit scrapers are going to require. So that's why I kind of have this right here. I don't know what the inputs are required, so we'll kind of have to curate that data before we send it to the Reddit scraper, I'm guessing. So that will basically be our first problem we need to solve. And then we'll use the Reddit scraper to get some sort of content, right? And what does that output look like? What are we trying to get from this Reddit scraper? And do we need to compile results? Do we need to get rid of extraneous information and just keep only what we need? So, I don't know what that's going to look like yet. And then right here, I'm thinking we ask AI to basically analyze the data we got from the Reddit scraper and find some key themes and trends, and then pick a theme. And right here, I kind of wrote, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I said that this pick a theme is optional because we could just ask over here, this AI, to pick one theme, but I'm not sure how to pick a theme yet. And what I'm thinking is we just use the highest engagement metrics that we see, like a number of upvotes or comments and stuff like that. And then we'll use the AI writer to write the actual newsletter based on the theme and the content we got from our Reddit scraper. And then this is also a iffy thing I'm thinking of doing, is generating an image using AI like DALL-E or some sort of image generation model, and using that as the image we include in our final LinkedIn post. And one last thing to mention about posting on LinkedIn is that they can detect when you're using an automation tool. So to go back to the very beginning, I'm thinking for the schedule trigger, we don't do it on a daily basis. We do it maybe every 3 days or every week, but just not daily. So, LinkedIn doesn't think that we're using an automation tool when, we are. But anyways, so yeah. And then right here, I'm just including that this system is dependent on the niches we have in our Google Sheet. So yeah, so this is a very important and integral part of this system. But yeah, hopefully that made sense. And now let's go jump right into n8n. So I'm here in my workflow, and let's just change this to, let's say our automated newsletter system demo. Cool. And then let's begin building. I'm going to start with our schedule trigger. And for right now, let's say 3 days, because I think a week is too long. I think you can post, every 3 days, but just not every day, because then it can seem like a little bit too much, a little bit automated. So yeah, let's keep it at days, and then days between triggers, let's put 3. And then trigger at an hour. So if we want this to run at a certain time, we could run it at a optimized hour of the day for visibility. So let's say usually around like 2 or 3 is good. It really depends on what sort of content you're posting, the audience you're posting to, but I feel like a good rule of thumb is like around 2 or 3. Let's put like 2. That should be good. So this is going to run every 3 days at 2 p.m. Okay, so that looks good. Okay, and so our next part was, oh yes, our Google Sheet. So let's go to Google Sheet. And then we're going to get a row. And then I haven't created the Google Sheet yet, so let's go to Google Sheets and create that document. Okay, so I'm right here in our Google Sheet, and let's name this like our niches. And let me name this niches as well for our column name. And so for right here, we just have basically our keywords of the sorts of trends we want to include in our newsletter. So for me, I'm very interested in AI. Let's say like AI and technology. So for right now, I'm just gonna have these 2 niches, but obviously you can include as many as you want. But yeah, so these are mine. And I think this is good for now. So now we can go back to our Google Sheets node and grab our niches document. Let's just get sheet 1. And then, yeah, no filters, right? We want all of our niches. So let's run this. Cool. Our niches are AI and technology. That's great. Okay, so now let's go back to our whiteboard. And okay, so right here, we need to curate our input, but the way we curate our input is by going to like a Reddit scraper and seeing what sorts of input that Reddit scraper requires. So let's go to Apify and pull up a Reddit scraper. Okay, so I'm in Apify. These are all the Reddit scrapers we can use. And there's quite a lot. But really, I think what we want is just like one of these multi-purpose ones where we can kind of scrape posts and comments, community, stuff like that. Oh, this one says pay per result. That's usually what we want because, yeah, let's look at like this one. It's probably a monthly subscription. Yeah. So this one's monthly and it's a lot. So we probably don't want to use something like this. It would be nice if we could just pay per result. So this one's already looking pretty good. Even though it says light, we don't really need this crazy Reddit scraper to get everything for us. We just need a few key trends and then we'll write our newsletter based on that. Let's also look at this one. 20 a month, that one's also a monthly subscription. And then let's see right here. I don't know. I didn't even look at this one. Okay. Yeah, so this one looks good to me. It's pay per result. Let's see, we can scrape subreddits, Reddit posts, Reddit comments, the user details. Oh, sort scrape data by categories of relevance, hot, top, and new. Okay, I see. So what I'm thinking for our newsletter is you want things to be kind of trendy. So I think what we want from that is hot. So we want something hot and maybe new. That would probably be the best for our newsletter. And yeah, something like top. Top just means it's the top of all time. And I'm not really sure the importance of relevance, but what I'm thinking is we'll use hot and new for our sorting by category. Okay, what data can I extract? Okay, we can just extract a bunch of stuff. Cost. Okay, 1,000 results for less than $4. Okay, that's fine. If you use the monthly plan, you can use this and you'll be fine. The input parameters. Okay, if this actor is run on, okay. Start URLs. Okay, so we could put a Reddit URL or a search term. Okay, so we're probably going to use search term for our automation because we already have those keywords in our niches Google Sheet. This will scrape all data from Reddit in communities, posts, and people for a specific keyword. Perfect. So we're going to use the search term. Okay, so that means that we don't really have to curate any data. We already kind of did, at least from what I can tell right now, we already kind of did that just by getting the keywords from our Google Sheet. Okay. How to scrape Reddit by search term. Okay, type. I see, sort, time. Perfect. We'll filter the search by the last hour, day. Okay, so we're definitely going to use time because that will get us something very recent. We're going to sort by category because that will get us something hot and new. And then we're going to use our keywords for the searches parameter. And it says right here, you can keep one field or add as many as you want. So let's look at an input example. Okay, so it's an array. So we could put an array of keywords. So one thing I'm thinking right now is we just kind of see how it works with one word and then figure out later how to make it a more specialized search based on multiple keywords and how to put that together in an automated way. But for right now, let's just stick with one keyword. Okay, and then this is what our results look like. We won't really need like community name. Looks like we won't really need any of these. Except maybe the URL. This Reddit scraper does not get us anything important except for this URL. And maybe the upvotes and number of comments. Alright, let me go to the other ones and see. Let me go to like this one and see what this one gets us because it's probably going to get us something way more. What does the output look like? Huh. It gets us the same thing. Okay, so I looked through this whole thing and it doesn't look like the output on this one either gives us anything really important that we can work with, except for the URL and the number of upvotes and comments. That means it's something trendy. But if this gives us the same output as the other scraper where you pay per result, I'd rather just do that. So let's go back to this one. Let's just check one more out because it looks like these are the same thing. How about this one? Okay, hold on. Another one, because any sort of one that's like subscription based, I want to kind of avoid those because then that's just a lot of overhead costs for a simple automation. What is this one? Another one. All right, so I think our best bet is just to go with this Reddit scraper Lite. So yeah, let's try it for free. Okay, so we're in our Reddit scraper, and what I want to do is, after looking over the input parameters, I don't really want a start URL. I want the search parameter. So let's get rid of this and let's go over to search and let's search for posts. Maybe let's search for comments. Okay, we'll sort by, so there's new, top, hot, relevance. Let's go with hot for now because that means it's something very trendy. New is cool, but let's go with hot right now. Filter by date. Oh, okay, so we can do something hot that is in, like the last week. Let's do the last week because there's only so much stuff that can happen in the last day. So let's do the last week just for now if we want to change it. But right, this is kind of the best of both worlds. We get something new that's hot, so that's pretty good. And then filters, we don't want to include that. Limits, so 10, 10. So these are very low limits. Okay, that looks good. And then I think we can just leave these proxies just the way they are. And I think that's good. So then what I want to do is I want to go over here to the JSON input and we'll see what our stuff looks like. And the reason I'm using this JSON right now is because we're going to have to basically copy and paste this to our HTTP node in N8N as the body parameters. So it looks good. I just don't see searches. I'm not sure where searches should go. I think we just kind of need to add it in somewhere as an array. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right here, press Control All. Okay, and then we're going to go to our HTTP node. And let's call this Reddit scraper. Okay. And the thing is with this Reddit scraper, to call the API endpoint, you just go right here to API endpoints. And then what you want to do is you want to run the actor and get the dataset items. So this will be a post to this URL. So let's copy this. And dang it, that got rid of my JSON object that we just copied. But anyways, let's go over here to our HTTP node and do post to this URL. Okay, and then we're gonna send our body. And instead of doing, we have JSON, and instead of using fields below, this is sort of like a manual input. Let's do using actual JSON. And that's where we're gonna do this. We're gonna grab this, what we did right here, Control Alt, Control C. And then I'm gonna paste that right here. Okay. And the most important part is the searches parameter. I think that's what it was called. Let's go back and see. Information. What was it called? I think it was searches or just search. Yeah, searches. So it's going to be called searches. And let's put it like, I don't know, let's put it somewhere intuitive, maybe right here. So we'll need to make it a string. And then like that. And so I think it was an array. Oh no. Okay. Oh, and then we'll put a comma. So right now we have our searches and it's an empty array, and we want to dynamically pass in our keywords from our Google Sheet into this array. So that means we're gonna have to do some sort of JSON right here. And hold on, let's see if we can maximize this. Okay, and then let's go right here. Hold on, I have to delete this because when I drag it in from this schema, it's going to turn it into JavaScript anyways. But yeah, we would just grab this and paste that in there. Cool. That's not what we want. Let's grab this and paste it right there. So now if we look over here in our results, it's this full JSON object, and then our searches parameter has this AI in it. Oh, and then this probably needs to be a string, so just to, well, okay. It is a string right here, but let's see how this works, and if it gives us an error, then we know we did it wrong. So let's try this out. Okay, so yeah, there's a problem. Valid JSON. What do we do wrong? So maybe let's do to JSON string. Let's try that. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. We just needed to change it to a string, which is weird because this like little A and B symbol that you see right here, that means it's a string in init. But yeah, anyways, you just have to change that to a string. So yeah, now let's just wait and see what happens. Okay, so we got a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Okay, so we have our number of comments right here, 53. Our number of upvotes is this. And, oh, I see, there's an image right here. We could maybe use this image right here to be included in our LinkedIn post, maybe. Not too sure. Let's keep going. Uh-oh, no, these are in memes. I wonder why all these are in memes. Right, community R meme. I'm not really sure if we want a meme. We want kind of to be serious and informative. So let's look up what the differences are between like hot, new, relevant, and what was the other one? And rising. I think that was the other one. But Reddit. Yeah, right here. So, post sorting. Displays the most recent, shows very recent posts that are currently gaining a lot of upvotes. A special algorithm ranks popular posts that have received a lot of attention from upvotes and downvotes. Okay, so this is kind of what I was thinking. Sorts posts by the most upvotes within a chosen time frame. Highlights posts that have received a significant number of both upvotes and downvotes. Similar to hot, but gives more weight to a post, making it more likely to show posts that are popular within the last week or so. Okay, so what I'm thinking is top and best are looking a little bit better for us because hot gave us some memes, and yeah, memes are funny, but we're not really looking for that in our automation. So I'm thinking right now we change it to top and then have our time frame parameter be week like we had it already, and also with best. So let's actually see if you can even put best in there. I don't even know if you could. Oh, where is it? Let's see, input, and we can put no. We can only put top, new, hot, and relevant. and rising. So I think let's try top instead. Top within the last week. So let's just change this to top. Let's see. Let's see how it is. It might be capital or lowercase. So if we change it to top, what does the JSON look like? Is it lowercase? It's lowercase. Okay. So this should be good. Let's try it again. Okay, we are getting better results. They're not memes, but they're all kind of from the same community. Did I search communities? Oh, I see. So is it only picking one community? Hold on. Let's change search communities to be true, because so far it's been giving me only one community. Let's retry and see what happens. Okay, so let's see if they changed up the communities. So the community right here is Today I Learned. Still Today I Learned. Oh man. Okay, going through here. Oh, there's different communities. Snockblot. Oh, okay, I see. Hold on. Yes, a great plan for everyone is bad because the rich can't monopolize and make billions off of it. You know, this is something we kind of want to make a newsletter about, which is like trendy and kind of controversial a little bit. Yeah, let's see. Let's go to this URL. Oh, it's an image. Dang. Okay. Alright, we kind of want... What is a way we can make this more reliable? Maybe instead of our niches, we could have like... We could change this up. We can make 2 columns like keywords. And instead of our niches being our keywords, we could do something like this where we have like we could have technology as our niche, and then in our keywords we could have like AI, maybe geopolitics. Maybe we could put in some of these companies in there like OpenAI, NVIDIA, and maybe one more. How about robotics? Right, these are kind of like the trending topics in this niche of technology. So maybe what I'm thinking is that the only manual part of this system, if this works, the only manual part of the system would be to update this keyword section whenever you want to write something new. But we haven't really hit a home run yet where we can, get the content and formulate a newsletter based on that Reddit content. So yeah, that's the issue right now. But let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. So instead of this, let's rerun our Google Sheet step. Okay, and so right now we only have one niche, and we have these keywords for the niche. Okay, and so let's see how this works out when we drag our schema into our array right here. Okay, and let's turn this to JSON string. I think, hold on, let's go back over here. I think our input needs to be, all of them need to be strings. It can't be like an entire string of things. Instead of it being a string, and in that string are keywords, I think it needs to be keyword, 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 and all those are separated by commas. So there's a way to do that, but let's see if this works just like this, and if not, we can change that up to make these all individual strings and separate them by commas. Yeah, you know what, maybe hold on, I'm thinking, because if this is passed into like the Reddit search bar, it would be AI, geopolitics, So I think what we have to do is change this to a string. Let's do .split. Split by our comma. Okay, let's get rid of this to.json string for right now. Basically what we did is, even though we got rid of the comma in this string right here, because this is one whole string, we got rid of the commas inside, and then what we did is, by using the split function, we separated each of these words into their own string and then added a comma automatically. So now what we do is, I think we just need to do to.json string like this. Okay, this is kind of what I wanted, right? We have AI as its own string, comma, geopolitics, comma. And yeah, I think that looks good. So maybe we can just make sure that there's no spaces. Okay. Cool. And then let's rerun this to get that where there's no spaces. Okay, so now let's run this and see what happens. So we've kind of narrowed down our search into something a little bit more specialized, something that has a little bit more controversy around it, a little bit more exciting. So hopefully this gives us something good. Ooh, okay. Interesting as F. Okay, so this community name suggests that something is really interesting here. We have a prediction and warning from the 50s that's eerily relevant today. Ooh, this is some good stuff for some content. Okay, I see that we have this title, a prediction and warning from the 50s that's eerily relevant today. That looks pretty cool. That looks pretty exciting. Okay, we have this image. Okay, maybe we could use these image URLs or the image to include that in our post, but we don't really want to copy content. Hold on, what is this image? Hold on, or do we get multiple posts? This is a post. Oh wait, no. So this is a comment, and this is a post. Are these comments on the post? Post ID. Is that T31MY? Okay, this post ID is T31MY. Okay, so yeah, these are comments on the post. Are all of these comments? Okay, so all of these are just comments on the post, on this post right here. And the thing is that this post is just talking about this thing, and they're drawing a parallel between some past 1950s show talking about the future and how that's coming to reality today. But that isn't really like enough for a good newsletter on real things that are happening. So it would be good if we could have an example of how this is actually happening in real life. So maybe we could have some sort of research AI that takes the topic in here and then sees if it can do some further analysis on it. But I think an easier way to start out before we get into like a research AI is to see if we can get more posts than just one, because this is just one post with multiple comments. Maybe that's because there's too many keywords right here. I don't know. Let's just be very generic. I think I might get rid of geopolitics and NVIDIA. So yeah, let me go right here and get rid of that. Okay, so now our keywords are OpenAI, OpenAI, and robots. So now let's go back here and just run the whole thing. And right, okay, so that's cool. And so if we go in our Reddit scraper, our searches are AI, OpenAI, and robotics. Okay, hopefully it gets us multiple posts instead of just one post. Okay, so that ran, and let's see. Uh-oh, why is it being weird? So that's a post, comment. Oh, it's probably the same thing again. Yeah, those are all comments. That's weird. Okay, I see. We're setting the max items to be 10. So hold on, let's go back here and go to our actors. And hold on, let's go. Okay, why won't that go away? Let's go to the items. Yeah, like what do these mean? Max post count? Because we put max post count at 10, but it only gave us 1. I think it was actually over here. Limits. Maximum number of items to be saved. Limit of posts scraped inside a single page. The maximum number of posts that will be scraped for each post page or community's URL. I think we kind of want a little bit more posts. Communities. Oh, so we can go through multiple communities. Okay. Users. Okay, so I don't really think we want users. We kind of want communities, a little bit less of what the comments are saying and more about what the posts are saying. So let's go over here, and instead of max communities, let's turn this into like 5. Max comments, let's take this down to like 3. And max items, let's take this up to, I don't know, maybe let's do 50. And then how about max post, let's do 20. Max user count, 0. Scroll timeout, how about we do 100? 100 seconds. Search comments, true. Search communities, true. Posts, users, no. Skip comments, skip communities, skip user posts, yeah. Okay, so let's see what this does. Okay, so I am skipping ahead a little bit, and just to let you guys know that this is executing much longer than it did beforehand, so I think this is a good sign. It means it's getting more results, and as you can see, we have 50 results right here. Okay, so let's go through here. We have our post. Boom. Oh man, these are all comments. Oh no, this is a post. Okay, so we have another post. Why is it being so weird, man? Okay, so I looked through and there's a few posts. I want to see what these images are. Maybe this one. Huh. These are all deleted. How about this one? This one's probably deleted too. Oh no. Whoa, what's happening here? Whoa. Okay, something that's cool. Oh, this is on UFOs. That's not really like applicable to our keywords that we use to search up. Kind of isn't going the way I expected. I don't know why it's being weird like that. Maybe it ran for too long and it went through, it kept crawling until it kind of went off topic a little bit. So I don't know, maybe let's just cut this down to 50. Or how about 60? Because it was 40 before. Let's try this one last time. See what happens. Okay, again we got 50 items. This is good. Sorry guys, I don't know why it's doing that. One thing, I kind of only care about the posts right now. So let's go over here and do like a filter node. And then let's just do all the ones where the data type is post. So there's 12 posts in here. Is this gaming? Gaming? Why are there games in our data? Okay, yeah, something like this is good. According to this survey, blah 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 blah, numbers and stuff like that. Okay, cool. All right, this is good. This is good. So it's getting like some AI stuff, but it's also including like gaming stuff. I wonder if there's a way where we can filter that out. Maybe use AI to filter that out. Like keep items that are pertaining to our keywords. So maybe, hold on, let's see if we can do something like that. Let's do text classifier. And then for our categories, let's put like something like applicable, and then not applicable. And so what I want to do maybe for each post is put in this body of text. And then in the description, we could say something like the content is applicable if it relates to these keywords. And then we'll turn this to an expression. And then the keywords will be our keywords from right here. Okay, and then this will just be the opposite. The content is not applicable if it does not relate to these keywords. Okay, and I think this way the AI will kind of intelligently filter out the information we don't want, because there's really not a clean way to write some code that would filter out like gaming content versus AI content. So let's try this. Oh, and I didn't even include a model. So let's go over here and then let's do like I don't know, let's do Gemini. Let's do Gemini Flash. Okay, this should be good, right? All right, but it's gonna do that, 12 times. Cool. So it's filtered out 5 items and it's kept 7. Okay. So the thing is that only 7 of these made it through, but we don't know if the next time we run this, 8 is gonna make it through, 10. So what we have to do is we have to dynamically attach these items to an array and then pass that array into the AI. Let's see if we can, do something with this. Use what we have right now, and if we want to come back and change it up, let's do that. And I'm going to feed this into another AI, and I'm going to say, hey, can you find any cool, controversial, exciting trends between any of these bodies of text? So what we can do is we can all right, and I just made sure to pin everything. But now what we're going to do, like I was saying, is we want to compile all of the body of text from each post into one array. And so the way we're going to do that, I'm going to use some code real quick. And let's call this get bodies only. All right. And so what I want to do is let's define a variable. Let's call it content array. And let's just say this is, for now, input the all. Okay, and let's return, we have to return an array of objects, and in there will be our content array. So right now, it gets us nothing. It gets us the same thing. We just defined this variable as content array. Okay, but now what we need to do is we need to reduce each of these items, these Reddit posts really, just to their body. This body property right here. And so the way we're going to do that, or the way I would like to do it, is by using the map function, by saying .map. And what .map does is it performs the same manipulation on each item in this array. And so the manipulation we want to do is we just want to get rid of everything else and just keep the body. So the way I'm thinking we're going to do this is by saying item. Okay, so this is just some generic code in the map function, but all this is saying is take each item and turn it into itself. But that's not really what we want to do. This is just kind of like an example of what the map function does, how it works. We take each item and perform some manipulation on it. But for this part, the manipulation part, we want to just reduce this item down to its body. So we're going to say JSON body. So now what it's saying is we're getting all of our items, and we're saying for each item, reduce it down to just its body and return that. So this should work. It does. And then let's take this, and now there's 7 items in our content array. Perfect. All right, and so now I think we can use our AI. We've compiled everything, right? We've compiled our results. So we scraped our Reddit, compiled our results, and now let's ask AI to identify some key themes and trends. So I'm going to use an open AI node just because I don't know why. It was the first thing that came to my mind. So now let's pick a model. I like to use 4.0 mini just because it's really cheap and it does everything fine. And then let's pass in this content array. And I'm going to say to JSON string just so that it doesn't freak out. I'm going to output the content as JSON. And I'm going to say identify key trends and connections between these posts be used for social media content. Yeah, I think that's good. This is just a simple user message, and if we need to improve the performance of this node, we would just give it a system message and iterate on that system message. But for now, let's just see how this does with just regular ChatGPT. And let's name this get key trends. Let's see how it works. Okay, and so looking through here, it gives us a theme, the explanation, and then some content ideas. But really, we don't need those content ideas, so I think let me just reduce this user prompt to just identify key trends between these posts. And the other thing is that I bet you when we run this value right here, trends and connections, its name is going to change. So we have to be very careful of that. So if that changes, we have to give it a structured output. Yeah, so trends change. So theme, observations. Okay. So I kind of like this output where we have our trends with the theme and observations, and then at the very end we have our connections. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ask AI to create a JSON schema for this whole thing right here. Okay, and the reason I'm going to do that is because we need to give the AI flexibility to create however many themes and observations it wants. So right here we have a few, right? We have maybe like 5. But if there are more posts in here, let's say there's like 10 posts, there may be like 6 or 7. So if we were to give it a JSON example, So let's say, let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. Right, if we're to generate a JSON example, it's going to output a JSON object like this every single time. But what a schema does is it's basically a manual on how to construct your JSON object. And then we can define what the name should be so that it's always that same name every time and it doesn't change and it doesn't mess up nodes further down along the line. Hopefully that made some sense. But anyways, the OpenAI node doesn't allow structured output. So let me do a basic LLM chain. Okay. I'm just going to give it the same user message. Okay. Give it a structured output. Give it a model. I'm going to use OpenRouter for mine. For a mini. Okay. And let's see. Alright, and let's give it the structured output parser. Do JSON schema. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these trends and let's take this content actually. And then I'm going to go into AI and ask it to make me that JSON schema. So right here I have Claude open up right here. Yes, I am GPT lover. And I'm just going to paste this and just tell it to make me a JSON schema for this. Cool. So it generated us a JSON schema. And so right here we have trends and we define it as an array. And then in that array we have our objects, trend item. And then in our trend item we have our theme. And then we also have our observations, which is an array. And then within our array we have string items. And then we are basically saying the theme and observations are required. And then we've also included our connections array. And that is a required one down here. Trends and connections are both required. So this looks perfect. Thank you, Claude. So now let's go over here, Control-Alt, Control-V, and this should work. And then later on, if our model doesn't give us the format we want, we can always use this autofix format, which just makes sure that it looks exactly like this JSON schema. Okay, so let's try and run this and see what happens. Okay. Cool. So that's exactly what it gave us, and it gave us the connections. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we can get rid of this. Let's pin this. Let's save that, and then let's go back over here. So now our next node is pick a theme, but I don't know if we need to pick a theme. Let's go back to our output, because it gave us themes right here. AI relationships and human interaction, identity and role-playing, work identity and validation, perception of technology and society. Yeah, so I'm not sure if we need to make a theme. I think what we can do is we have enough information right here to just tell the AI writer to write a newsletter about this sort of discussion right here about AI and relationships and identity. So I think honestly we don't really need this pick a theme. I think we can just ask this AI writer to come up with something creative based on all these things that we found right here. So let's go do that. Let's do maybe another basic LLM chain. Let's say, you know what, most people use Claude to write things, so I wonder if there's an Anthropic. There is an Anthropic. I've actually never used this native Anthropic node. Let's do message a model. And then let's go to, 3.5 haiku. This is just a cheap model that's good at writing things. So let's give it our trends array. And then let's make it a string so that it doesn't freak out again. And simplify output. Okay, so let's add a system prompt. Okay, so there's only two, user and assistant. Maybe down here. Oh yes. Ooh, just a message. Okay. And then I also saw web search. Ooh. Yeah, let's turn on web search. Okay, so this is really cool. We can use Claude to perform a web search on these topics to maybe get some data points, some statistics, and some new things. Right, this is kind of like our idea of what to write about. and then Claude can do some further research on these ideas and use those connections and make something really creative and valuable. So yeah, let's give it a system message. And then let's say, let's open this up. Okay, so I wrote this simple system message. Your job is to take key trends and connections and create a newsletter optimized for LinkedIn. You should search the web to further research these topics to find data points, statistics, whatever to add credibility to the newsletter. And then let's give it a role. Let's say something like you are an expert writer. That should be good. Cool. I'm excited to see what this does. And then we can even add attachments. Hold on, I just want to see what this is. URLs and binary files. Very cool. Do they have image analyzation? No. Okay. I don't think we really need to mess with any of these. But yeah, so let me turn this off. Let's see how this runs. Let's go. I'm excited. Okay, so we finished and this is what it got us. Looking through it, it used the tool. That's very good. This is really cool. It is doing kind of exactly what I wanted it to do. But what it's kind of doing is it's giving it to me in chunks. So maybe let's see what I can do over here. Include a merged response. What does this mean? Merging all text parts of the response. Let's try this out. Okay, so this is what it gave me. Wait. AI relationships, young adult statistics, 2023 social trends. Okay, that's good that I caught that. It thinks we're in 2023. We should give it a time. Okay, that's actually really good that I got that. And this merge response didn't really do anything. So I think what I want to do here, let me do this. Let me do another basic LLM chain. Let's do that. I want a specific output. I think we can just do a over here we can do a JSON example where we just have one property, and that's just like this will be our like newsletter. Put your newsletter content here. Right, just something like this where we can easily pass it into LinkedIn. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do Anthropic because I liked what it did. I liked what Claude IQ did. And oh man, it doesn't have web search when it's a chat model. Oh man, that sucks. So hold on, I don't really want to give up this web search because I don't really want to use like a third-party web search just yet. So hold on, let's hold this off for now. Maybe let's make another code node. Where we say, kind of like the same thing we did where we just gather all the text together. Equals JSON.content. Let's see if we can do this. I reran that node, dang it. Alright, whatever. Well, first off, I want it to give us a newsletter. I don't want it to give us that little comment like, oh yeah, for sure, I'll make you a newsletter. I just kind of want it to give it to us. Yeah, like I want to get rid of that. But what we can do, let me pin this. And so what I was doing over here in the code node is I was just getting our content. Okay, and so we'll turn this newsletter. We'll basically do map again. And we'll say content turns into content.json.text. All right, let's run this. And for this map right here, what we want to do is we just want to go through all these items and check all of them that have text in them, or the ones that are of type text. And then, oh, this is our merge response. Oh, so we don't need this code node, it did it for us. Okay, it says I'll create a LinkedIn newsletter. Oh, okay, so this is it. Cool, okay, it did it. So actually we don't need this code node, and we don't need this one either. But what we do need to do is we need to give it a better system message. Let's do this. Only up. So only output the newsletter, do not make any other comments or remarks. This is kind of like the notes section if we were to write this out in Markdown prompting. But right now this is just a simple system prompt. And if we need to format it into Markdown, we can do that later on if it doesn't respond the way we want it to. And then let's definitely go up into this user prompt and say something like the date is now to date time. Or maybe we can just do format. And then, okay, yeah, the date is this. Okay. And then let's go back in our system prompt. And basically what we want to say here is just make sure that it grabs content off the internet from the current year at least. Because before it was grabbing content from 2023. Now it's 2 years later. So let's just add right here. Make sure all your research and content is up to date with the current time. Uh-oh, I don't know why I did that. I thought that was a period. So I'll add it right here. Make sure all your research and content is up to date with the current time. Only output the newsletter, do not make any other comments or remarks. Cool. So now let's run this one last time. That's my fault. I didn't even see the merged response at the bottom. I thought it didn't even do anything. But that's cool how this Anthropic node added that merge response and web search. So this is kind of all I was thinking. Okay, and so, right, this is good, but the thing is that we don't want this LinkedIn newsletter right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, copy it, and then we can add an assistant message which tells the model how to behave. And let's paste that in there. And this gives it an example of what to say. I'm wondering how our LinkedIn node will behave with these backslashes and all these dashes, but anyways, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it works. Let's try it again and see if it gets rid of. Okay, so I gave it this example and I didn't like it because I kind of gave it what it already was gonna make. I guess that's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna look up example LinkedIn newsletter. All right. All right, so let's go right here to this newsletter and see how this guy writes. Yeah, you see this guy is writing about a few things. Yeah, just like this. So something like that. I'm not going to give all of this to Claude. All right, so now that we've given Claude that whole thing, let's try and run this again and see what it does. Yeah, this is a lot of tokens to send Claude at once. So I'm wondering if we can, reduce the number of tokens here. But this is a good example to give Claude. So yeah, let's go through here and we have our merge response. Yeah, the thing is that we have this right here. So it gave us this weird string at the very beginning, which is like the web search tool. All this looks good, except for that. So I wonder why it gave us that. Okay, anyways, this is not really working. So maybe, yeah, let's go back, unfortunately, to our LLM chain. Let's change this right here to our user prompt. This will be our user prompt. and then we'll add another system prompt. So let's go back over here and then grab our system prompt. And then let's add our model. Actually, no, I kind of like Anthropic, so let's go over here and use Haiku 3.5. And we don't need to enable thinking. That's all right. Did we miss anything from over here? I kind of want to see how it does without. Yeah, actually, I do want to see how it performs without this assistant prompt. So what I'm going to do is, actually, if we want to give it web search, we have to use an AI agent. So, dang it, I have to do this all over again. AI agent. This has to be an AI agent. And then let's turn this into our user prompt right here. And then we will need a system message. And our system message will come from over here like we just did. Right. So we gave it that. And so unfortunately, since we can't do web search in our Anthropic chat model, what we can do is we can use this web search tool called Tavily. And Tavily is really cool, but all it is just giving your AI agent a access to the web, like it says right here. So let's sign up, or actually, yeah, I can already log in. And so what I'm going to do is I'll copy my, actually no, I'm not going to copy my API key yet. I'm going to show you guys the API reference. And so we want to do this Tavily search, so we're just going to do a post to this endpoint. So let's go back here and we'll give this AI agent a tool which can use a Tavily search, right, like that. And the cool thing about Tavily is that, let's see its pricing. I like to show you guys its pricing just to be like very transparent with you guys, but you get 1,000 API credits for free. And then how much is one search? Let's see if it tells us. Oh, right here, credits and pricing. So your search depth determines the cost of your request. Basic search is 1 API credit, advanced search is 2. So if we get 1,000, we can honestly use this advanced search. That would be really cool. So let's go back to this Tavily search. And so we require bearer auth. So let's go over here to our send headers. Let's do authorization. Bearer, and then you have to put a space and then your API key. Paste that right there. Okay, and then we can add in the description of this tool. We can say this is your web search tool. To you. Okay, and I'll say you may use this tool multiple times. Right, and so I actually want us to use advanced search because if we're just running this once a week and we have 1,000 credits, running an advanced search is just 2 credits. So that's really generous of them. That means we can run this 500 times in a month, and I don't think we're going to do that. So that's really good. So let's send body, and let's go over here to our body, and we need a query. But the thing about our query is that, and what the query is it's just like what you would put in a Google search, the string of text that you would put in a Google search. So right here they say who is Leo Messi, and then that will bring up the results from that query. But we're not actively doing the search query ourselves. We want the AI to do it itself. So we will actually press this button, which lets the model define what this value is, and we're going to say as a search term, or no, I could just say as a value is relevant and current. Relevant, current, and pertains to the topics given to you. Okay, and then how do we use the advanced search? Let's go back over here. Okay, and so for this topic parameter, we can give it news or general. And I'm wondering if we can just give it news to, narrow down the search results. So let's add a parameter. Let's give it topic. Let's do news. Cool. Oh, here's what I wanted, search depth. Let's do advanced. So it was called search depth. Let's do advanced. Oh, include images. Maybe we could get an image URL and then use that as our thumbnail basically for our newsletter. Each item will have a URL and description. I might honestly use this parameter. I'll first see how it does using the Tavily search tool. If it does well, then I might include this image descriptions parameter because then it could give us a URL that we can include in our LinkedIn post. So, right, it all comes together right at the end. That's really cool. Okay, and actually, I take it back. This topic parameter, now thinking about it, I think it would be better to let the AI decide whether it uses news or general, and we can give it the description like, hey, this topic parameter has only 2 values, general or news. So we can let the AI decide what's best in that particular case. So I'm going to go back here and say, I'm going to delete that. And then honestly, I can just feed it this, the category of search. And honestly, yeah, we can just give it this. We can just give it everything. This is a good description. Okay. So we'll give it our query and our topic and our search depth. Let's keep it at advanced. That would be good, just so that it gets us. We're making some real content, so we want the content to be good. And then I'm thinking that we will probably also use some of these date parameters just to narrow down the date to get the most recent news and so on. You know what? I am actually thinking through this a little bit more, and we don't really want to be limited to information that's only from, like, say, a week in the past or a month in the past. What if when you're creating this newsletter, like let's say we're doing this without an automation, when you're creating a real newsletter, you want to get the information that connects to your story, not really the most recent information. You just want information that supports your argument or draws parallels from the past sometimes. So I actually don't think we're going to be using any of these, because if we go back over here, we already gave our AI the current date. So, and we already prompted it to grab, the most up-to-date information. So it's going to call the tool, hopefully, with a query parameter search that's up to date. But then the search results may not be, from the past week. So they'll probably be from pretty close, like 2025 or maybe in the past month. So there might be recent news, but at least the entire search tool isn't just limited to one time frame. If there's other search results that match up to what we're looking for and they're from the past, so be it. I think that'll be okay. I was just thinking about that for a little bit, and yeah, I don't want to be limited to anything, especially with this web search tool. So let's name this like web search. Cool. And I think we're good. Let's do AI writer. All right, let's see how this works. Hopefully it works very good. Okay, so it gave us our output, and as you can see here, it ran the web search tool twice, which is great. At least it ran the tool. Sometimes these AI agents, they don't even run the tools. This is a good sign, and it only did it twice, which means we used 4 credits. But remember, we have 1,000. So if we're running this every 3 days times 4, what's the math on that? That's around, running it 10 times in a month, that's 40 credits, and you have 1,000. So we can keep the search at advanced, and we're fine. Let's see. Okay, cool. Nice. So that looks good. I think though, I don't want it to have emojis. I just don't like emojis, especially with the emojis AIs choose. You can totally tell it's AI. So anyways, yeah, let's just let's do this. Do not include, oh, that's not how you spell emojis. Emojis, do not include emojis. Let's run it once more. Okay, so that's writing it out. Awesome. So now that we at least have something written, this is good because this system is not perfect yet. I'm just getting through making sure that each node works, and at least the idea we have and the information flow of that idea is kind of how we expect. So that's really all I wanted. We can get rid of these now. And let's save this. Okay, so now let's go to our LinkedIn node. So I've actually never used this node, so I'm not sure what we can do with it. I just knew it was here. So we can make a post or a custom API call. And the thing with this custom API call is that unless you're a very large approved organization by LinkedIn, then you can't use their API. So we can only make like a post on our regular account or maybe our business account. Post as, yeah, like an organization. Okay. Let's see what happens if we do organization. Oh no, yeah. So, okay, the thing is that I'm looking at this text parameter right here, and what I'm guessing is that this is just going to accept plain text. We can't format anything. We can't have like a markdown formatting where there's headers and bullet points and stuff like that. And that's kind of what we want in a newsletter. We want it to be structured and organized. At least it does allow a media category. Hopefully, yeah, there's an image, so we can make an image right here. I'm wondering if this is really what we want. I'm not too sure if this is actually what we want as like a newsletter. Yeah, you know what? Let's look up N8N docs. So I'm going to the N8N documentation, and then I'll look up like our LinkedIn node. Okay, so we can make a. That's all we can do. We can only create a post. And yeah, I was looking for this description on this text parameter, but all it says is the post contents. That doesn't really give us a lot of information. So I'm guessing that this text parameter only accepts plain text, and we can't like do new lines and have headers and bullet points, which is kind of what we want to have, like I said. So I'm actually going to say we don't want this. I'm just going to completely abandon that LinkedIn idea, which is okay. But what are some other ways we can do newsletters? I know a lot of people are doing it on Gmail, which is cool, but I think there's a cooler option, honestly, something a little bit more interesting and more valuable, because you can send a Gmail newsletter and no one cares. No one's going to care for your email newsletter. So instead of like a Gmail or a LinkedIn newsletter, I was wondering if we could do like a Medium post. If you guys don't know what Medium is, it's just a platform for writers to, write stuff like this, like newsletters or blog posts. So I'm wondering if you can do that in N8N. Do they have a Medium node? Oh, wow, they do. And we can create a post. Okay. How do we set up a credential? Oh, we can just do OAuth. Okay. Or an access token. I'm not sure what this is. But anyways. Okay, we can have our title. Our content format is HTML or Markdown. Okay, I like that. And then our content. Okay, this kind of changes it up. What are tags? Okay. Oh, this might be good to classify the post so that we can get some sort of popularity in a certain category. All right, yeah, this is good. This helps classify the post we make, which we could derive from our Google Sheet. This looks good. We can format it. We can give it structure, a title, and this honestly kind of seems more like a newsletter sort of platform instead of LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is cool, but I'm just kind of sticking with our initial idea as if we were to make a newsletter system instead of just a regular LinkedIn post. So let's do this. And this will kind of change the way this guy writes our stuff. So I'm going to say So I'm going to change our system message and have it create us a markdown output. Can I just go like this? So instead of optimized for LinkedIn, let's just say medium written in markdown. Only output the newsletter. Okay, let's try and run this. Okay, we're using a bunch of our tokens, but that's okay. We have 1,000. Nice, formatted in markdown. So the thing is that we can like put our output in this content, set our content format to markdown, and so we need a title, and this title should come from like right here, like maybe this first header. This would be a really good title, but it's stuck in our output. And basically, this is another great case for a structured output parser. You don't really know if the AI is always going to have an output like this, so you can't write code that is always going to handle the same case every single time. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to do this. Require a specific output format. Okay, so we have our chat model, we have our tool, and then we'll have another output parser. As you guys can tell, I love output parsers. And for this one, we are going to have a JSON example because it's really easy. All we're going to need is, I accidentally did that. We'll have our title, and then I'll say, put your title here. I'll give it all caps, just so it knows it's a title. And then our cities, not our cities. This will be like our content. And then so I think this should be good, and it's such a simple JSON example that we might not even need this autofix format, because sometimes these AIs break down. They don't give you the exact output you want, but Claude is a very intelligent model, so I'm not too worried about that. And this is a very simple JSON example. So honestly, I think that'll be good. Let's run it one last time. All right, as you can see, it didn't fail the structured output parser. Let's see how it did. Ooh, boom, nice. This is kind of exactly how we want it to look. Nice. I think this is working out better than our original idea. And that's one thing that I actually learned in school, is this idea of functional fixation. I think that's the term. But basically, you don't want to be too attached to your idea that it leads you down the wrong path when there's a better alternative that exists, but you're not willing to give up your idea to reach that alternative. So I think we did the right thing by ditching LinkedIn, because now we can do this. We have a nice title, and we can have formatted content. So this is not our output, it's .content. Okay. And then our tags, let's just not worry about that for right now. Okay, and then our credential is the most important thing. Let's see what this access token is. I think I do have a Medium account. I've never done anything on it, but let's go right here, and then let's sign in. I'm gonna sign in with this one. All right, and actually, let me see. Let's go to the docs and see how you make a Medium account. So this was my mistake. I just kind of went too fast into this. I didn't even read that the Medium node is in initn, but you can't do anything with it, which sucks. So we have to figure something else out. Okay, so let's go back over here. That's kind of why it wasn't working. I knew something was weird. Well, bye Medium. That sucks. And then let me just. Sorry, I'm just gonna get rid of all this stuff. We don't even need this anymore. All right, what else? So I've done quite a bit of thinking, and I actually came up with something that I think is a little bit more interesting and nuanced than just a regular email newsletter. It's something different. But what I'm thinking is we kind of go back to what we already made in our last video, which was a Notion page. And the thing with Notion is that we've already figured out how to format the text. So I think we can just copy the nodes we created in that workflow and then paste them right here. And if you didn't watch that video, I suggest you go watch it, but I'll copy over the nodes in a second if this idea works. But yeah, what I'm thinking is we instead use LinkedIn as a way to gain outreach for our newsletter system. We use Notion as the way to format it. And I think that should be pretty good. So what we'll need to do first is make the Notion page, format it correctly, and then make a LinkedIn post with the URL and stuff. So yeah, let's see how this works. Let's go down this route. And let me go back to my other workflow and copy those nodes and paste them in here. I'll explain a little bit about them real quick. But just if you want to get a more in-depth explanation of how those nodes were created, you can go watch the previous YouTube video. But yeah, let me go get that for you guys. Okay, so I went over and I copied our nodes from our other workflow. And just to go over it real quick, you guys, what we want to do when we create a Notion page in N8N at least is not just send all your content in one node. You kind of have to append the content you want to make sure that it's formatted correctly. So what we can do is send an AI kind of like a structure of how we want our newsletter to look, and then use an AI to format it into Notion blocks. And then it'll make one big long list of those Notion blocks, and then we'll use this split out node to separate them into singular items, and then pass each of those in as its own block, and they'll get appended one after the other in the Notion page. So I think the most logical thing to do right now is we'll need to create a page first and then append our blocks. So I think after we do this, we can create a page. Sorry, I don't know why I always do that. But we can do our Notion. And then actually we could create a database page or create a page. I'm not quite sure which one is the best move right now. Let's go to Notion. Because what I'm thinking is we want to make this a publicly available link. I know you can do that, but let's see how we do that. Okay. No, share. I want to, yeah, let's learn about what sharing does. General access. So I want anyone on the web with the link. Anyone who has a link to your page can access it, even if they aren't a Notion user. Page visitors will need to be logged into Notion if they want to comment on or edit your page. Okay, so you can comment and edit. If you want access to this link to expire, open. Okay. I don't really want people to edit it. That would kind of suck if you write something and someone just messes with it. But honestly, like, oh, here. Select this level for people who should be able to edit. Okay, so I want people to view and I want people to comment. That would be cool. But I don't really want them to do any of this. So let's go over here. And what happens when we share? Oh, no, share. General access. No, we want... Oh, okay, I see. So we want anyone on the web with the link. I want them to be able to comment, right? That would be cool. This would be more of like a interactive sort of thing for people, right? It's not just like a newsletter that you get and you don't read. It's something where you can kind of like have a conversation with on the Notion page, and it's beautifully formatted. And I'm wondering if we could even use both LinkedIn and Notion to have this sort of system where LinkedIn markets it so that people know that it exists, and then they're led here and they can read it and comment on it, right? That would be much more interesting than an email newsletter that no one reads, right? You never want to be tied to an idea. You always want to keep moving forward. But the good thing is that we already built a bunch of stuff for Notion. So I think it's kind of good we already reused that code. The only problem I think is that you can't automate it being a publicly available page and giving people access to comment. So I think that's something that you have to do manually, which is fine, but it would be nice to have that fully automated, but you can't have everything. So what I'm thinking is we'll create the Notion page with the research and the writing we already did with our previous AI workflow that we made over here, right? So we did all this work. Then I think we could just connect it to a Notion page. And then what we'll do is we'll maybe email ourselves something like, hey, your Notion page is ready, your Notion newsletter is ready. Make sure that it's publicly available to everyone. and then we'll have like a wait node, and that wait will allow us to go into that Notion page and set the permission settings to, you know, anyone with the link in view or comment, and then we'll send a LinkedIn post that contains the URL to our Notion page, and then that'll be our own sort of LinkedIn to our newsletter funnel. So that sounds much more fun to me. What I'm thinking of doing is, instead of creating a bunch of singular pages, I'm going to create a database page. And so what I'll need to do is I'll need to go over here. Let me delete this. And let's create a new database, an empty database. And let's call this our Notion newsletters. Okay. And then this name, let's just say this is our title. And I think we won't need anything here. We'll just add a new page right here. Okay. And so let's go back to over here. Oh, yes. This is right. We have to go over here to connections, right? You see how it says connections is none, right at the bottom right? We'll just look up, I already created a connection. I showed you guys how to do that in the previous video, but I already made a connection. I'll choose this one. Okay, and now it should be connected to my end-to-end workflow. So now let's go over here. Let's delete that again. Create a database page. Now it should work. There it is. And then our title will be this. Cool. Okay, and right here in our blocks, we can add a block, but the thing is that if we were to add a block, we want it to be structured with headings, paragraphs, maybe even bulleted lists, and we have an image right here. Okay. And if the block type is paragraph, we would want it to be rich text, because we want to give it the option to be a link or be bolded or italic. You know, these are some things we have to keep in mind. And finally, the last thing is that if you were to send a rich text object, it can't exceed 2,000 characters, which is a problem that you will run into, because this constant right here, this is not 2,000 characters. It's going to be more. So what we're going to do is we're actually not going to send any sort of block. This title already takes care of this property right here, so that's fine. And then we don't need any options. So really, this is all we need to do. So let's run this just to show you guys. Okay, and then we'll go over here, right? And we have our Notion page. Cool. And so, right, this is the title. And in this body that's empty right now, this is where we append our blocks to structure it. So it's looking good. So actually, let me go back and let me just name these. I forgot to name these. This will be our get key trends. Cool. This is looking really nice so far. Okay, and so what I'm thinking is that since this AI already wrote everything in Markdown, it would be very simple to pass this to this AI to convert it into Notion blocks. But I think over here we have to, hold on, let's get all this. I'm gonna unpin this. To unpin something, you just press the letter P on your keyboard. And I think we have to change the system message. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking the output of our AI writer, this content, and telling this AI, hey, now format this into Notion blocks. Okay, and yes, we are using a few AI nodes so far. I think we have like 4. Yeah, so we have 4 AI nodes so far, right? But that's because we're making this very modular so that each AI has an individual role in what they do, and they're very good at that role, and they don't have too many things to juggle at the same time. But this seems like a better way to do things, instead of just telling the AI to write this in Notion blocks and giving it this formatting guide and then this JSON schema right here. You know, there's a little bit too much going on there. But anyways, so going back to this node, what I want to say is take this Markdown formatting and turn this into the Notion blocks. So I'm going to go down here and change up our system prompt, and I'll be right back while I do that. Okay, so I changed up the system prompt. It looks like this. I've included this italic right here. And then I made sure to include in our example this italic right here. And I think that was it. Oh, and then for the task, I said take the Markdown blueprint of the newsletter instead of the blueprint JSON, because beforehand we were passing in a JSON. Now we're passing in Markdown. So those were the only things in the system prompt, but then I'm still going to keep the formatting guide. And all I did was I created a new Google Doc, which I'll share in the description so you guys can have it as the formatting guide. And I just made sure to include italic for the property in the output field that we need. Okay. And so I used Claude to make this, and I also used Claude to make this JSON schema right here. So now we need this new JSON schema, which is going to have an italic property. And let's copy this and then go over to our structured output right here and Control-Alt, Control-V. So now we have a new JSON schema that looks like this. All right, and cool, let's see how it runs. Make sure this is pinned. Let's see how this runs. Okay, so it just ran. Let's check it out. Cool. Okay, so we added italic just because I know in newsletters they bold and they italicize stuff a lot. So I want to have that option. It might have, yeah, it doesn't have to italicize anything, but that's okay. Let's pin this, and then we can also run this. Cool, and so it only gave us that. All right, and so let's append the blocks and see how it worked out. Okay, so it just ran. Let's go back to our Notion, open it up. Okay, so something happened in this append block. Okay, I thought that wasn't going to be a problem. Here, let's see. Let's give it like let's give it this type of paragraph. Let's give it a type paragraph, and paragraph will have rich text. And so the text will be, here, I think we'll have to just do this. So if it's a paragraph, the text will be an expression, JSON.content. Okay, and then this link right here, this will be JSON.link. Then we'll add our annotations, bold and italic, and then turn these into expressions. JSON.bold, bold, and then no, JSON.italic. Cool. Okay, and then this is when our type name is paragraph. So then if we change this to an expression and do JSON.type, now it should work. Hopefully that works. Okay, let's go back to over here. And that didn't work. Okay, what's happening? Okay, I think we just need to do this. Whatever the type name is, make sure that all these are filled out at the same time, whether or not this type name is heading 2. And so the type will be text, and then the text will be our content. So not content. And then do the same thing. And we can do this. Cool. Okay. Turn these into expressions. All right, and now I got rid of all that. Let's run it again. That's my bad. These should all be ready to go, whether or not the type name is heading 2 or not. Okay, let's go back over here. Nice, much better. Cool. Formatted newsletter in Notion. Looks fantastic. All right, so now what I'm thinking is we have some sort of, we basically go to LinkedIn and we create a post. And we'll create it with our credential. But in that post, let's go over here. No, sorry. In that post, when we created this database page, we have a URL. So we'll always have this sort of like templated post where it's like newsletter update, and then the name. Okay, and then we can say something like, check it out in my Notion right, something like this, very, very simple. Okay. And then right here, we won't really need oh yeah, we'll need to change this to an article because this post contains an article URL. So I think this means that it makes the link clickable. I think for this none, it just makes everything plain text. So let's change this to article. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. What is original URL? Oh, okay. Maybe we do this. I'm not too sure how this works. Title. Will be our name. Ah! Oh my god, I just deleted that. Whatever. This will be our URL. And then our visibility will be public to anyone. Yes. Our description. Alright, right now I'm not really sure what this description does. I'm pretty sure we're going to need this media category. Okay, now for our N8N credential. We'll go over here. And I've never done this before. So we have standard or community management. In LinkedIn community, the URL. Okay. I don't know what's happening with LinkedIn. LinkedIn's always been hard. Oh, I need to create a company page. Okay. Okay, so it says use this method if you're a new LinkedIn user or creating a new LinkedIn app. I think that's technically me. To create a new developer app, set up the credential, log into LinkedIn, and create a new developer app. So let's do that. Oh, app name. Okay. Notion newsletter. Okay, so I basically read through this whole thing and I've just decided to not go with LinkedIn once again because there's just this whole long process that you have to do. And if you want to use LinkedIn as your mode of marketing for your newsletter, if you choose to, build along with this and apply it to your business, then you can go ahead and do that. I looked up YouTube tutorials. There are tutorials out there that show you how to do it. So, it's not like you can't use LinkedIn for this. You totally can. But just for the sake of this video, I kind of just want to get the idea out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of these. And instead of doing LinkedIn, what we can do, I'm not going to throw this away just yet. Let's look up if we can post on X. And we'll create a tweet. Because I have an X account as well. And yeah, this is cool. Because we can just copy all this. And then paste this in the text right here. And let's see. Media ID. What is this? Okay, I don't think we'll need any of that. Okay, and then I think right here we'll actually do something like that. Newsletter update, or honestly no. This will be the title of it. Yeah, actually let's move this around. I'm just gonna keep it in one short block. I'm gonna say check out my new Notion newsletter. This, I'm going to say below, and then let's add like 2 new lines. Cool. Alright, something like that. Okay, and let's create our credential. Yeah, I don't know if this client ID is for our Google or X, because I know X is a little bit different now. So we just want this free for write-only use cases and testing API. Okay. So we only have 500 posts per month. That's fine. This is good enough for us. All right. How do we? Let's just go all the way down here. Let's go to getting started. Let's getting access. Sign up for a developer account. Just click on the button below, answer a few questions, and you can start exploring and building this API. Okay. No, we want basic. Let's just sign up for a free account. So save your app's key and tokens and keep them secure. Alright, and so now that we created our account and signed in, right when I signed in, there was some sensitive information that immediately popped up on the screen, so I can't show you guys that. But anyways, the way we create our end-to-end connection is, I'm looking at the documentation right now. We'll just need to go into our developer account. So once we create our developer account, let's go over there, and then it says go to user authentication and setup. And then we want to read and write, and I don't really want a direct message. And then let's do our web app. And then right here, we'll do our callback URI. And for the website URL, what does it say? Add a website URL. What is a website URL? Can we just do the same thing? And then let's change that. Okay, so we have our client ID and our client secret, so let me copy that. Go over here, and then I'll paste this in. I'll copy my client secret, paste that in, but I can't show you guys. Okay, now this should work. Let's try it out. Oh, you are not allowed to create a tweet with duplicate content. So let me check out. Looks like I already posted it. Let me check it out. So I checked it out on my phone, but just so you guys can see it, let me show you guys what happened. We don't want this. Yeah, so it got posted, which is cool. So let me delete this. So now that we know that we can do that, let's go back to end-to-end. And so the last part, or I think there's like 2 more parts that I'm thinking, is we want to give us time to go into Notion and make sure that our visibility is turned on. That's the only really manual part about it. But let's make sure that we get notified. So let's email ourselves. Let's email ourselves. And then we'll do to the same email always. So this is fixed. This is just to my business email. And then for the subject, your Notion newsletter, and then I'm going to say right here the name. Is ready. Actually, this is in the subject. Let's make this just text. Turn on Notion newsletter visibility. Make sure visibility permissions are granted to anyone with the link with commenting access. Cool. And that's good enough, right? So we get an email. The thing is that this is going to, there's 26 items here, and that means this is going to send us an email 26 times. And so I think that's actually what was happening over here, is I forgot that we had 26 items right here, and when we ran our tweet, it was going to create the tweet 26 times, but it didn't allow us because it would be duplicate content, which I'm happy about, because that would have really sucked. So we have to find a way to make this one item. So let's just go over here and do this aggregate node. So we'll just do this, and we'll see how this how this works. We'll aggregate it all. So split out and then aggregate it all into one thing. Let's pin that. This doesn't really help us do anything, but then we'll send out our email. Cool, got my email. When we get our notification like, hey, turn on the visibility permissions, what we want to do is we want to give us some time to do that, because what if we don't see that email right away? And we want to post at this optimized time for like 2 or 3 o'clock. So if I were to just say like wait a few hours, then we would be posting maybe at 7 o'clock, and that's not really what we want to do. We want to post at that optimized time. So the best option I'm thinking is using a wait node and then waiting 1 day. So this gives us 1 day to set those visibility permissions in our Notion to public, and then we'll be good. And it would just be much easier if we had an automated way to set those permissions to public, but that's all right. So we'll save this, and for right now let's just do like 1 second, but really this would be 1 day. And I think that's good. Okay, let's try this. Uh-oh, item doesn't work in this scenario. Okay, now what we need to do here is just put first, and same thing for this item. Put first. Cool. All right, let's check this out again. Cool, that's working. We created our tweet, and let's go back over here and restart. Cool, and we have that. All right, let's delete this just so that we can keep going. And then we're basically done. Let's change this to days. So one thing I do want to try is having in our newsletter like a resources section where it shows all the URLs we use to conduct our research on the topic we're talking about, instead of just spewing information out there. So let's go over here to our AI writer, and in the system message, let's put always include a resources section, which includes all the URLs used in your research. A resources section at the end of the newsletter, which includes all the URLs in your research. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpin this, and unpin this. All right, and now let's run this. So we should have a resources section, and then this AI should recognize that. And if this AI makes the resources like a header too, this AI will recognize it. And then let's say it gives all the URLs it used in its web search. Those will be converted to links in our Notion page. So I'm excited to see what happens here. So let's try it out. Okay, so unfortunately it did not match the requested output in our structured output parser. So let's see what happened. Oh yeah. So it didn't actually give us that JSON example, which kind of sucks. So let's just do this autofix format. That's all right. And then let's add another model, a very cheap one, 4.0 mini. I always like to go with. Okay, let's see if this works now. So I'm gonna run this. Let's pin these. I forgot. This split out node kept the data from our last run, so it's appending blocks again, the same blocks. So I really should have unpinned this, but it's okay. We got our AI content right here. So I'll just unpin this and then retry that again. And then I'll fast forward so you guys don't have to be bored and watch all that. Okay, so finished running. Let's go look. I'm excited to see. Okay, so it did include a resources section. That's good. I don't think it got the links. Let's see what happened over here. So when this ran, so this is kind of like what I was thinking of as our newsletter. It looks great. I love the way it looks. The only thing is I wish these were links, but they're not. So How do we get those links? Well, they came from our web search. Let's go back to our execution over here. Okay, so it ran this search, right? We basically want to include these URLs right here. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Oh, all of these. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to retry the system prompt. I'm going to say, I'm going to give an example, resources section. I'm going to say, not brief, and something like that. Yeah, I want it to look like that. Okay, and let's retry this all. Undo that. I'm going to, and this is looking really good. I'm really excited for this. Oh, okay, so this errored out, and I think what it is because it gave us a whole different resources section. Okay, and nice, it's including the URLs. Perfect. But let's say over here, make sure this resources section is in, and let's give it, since it's not understanding this, let's give it an example. This is like a one-shot example. Make sure the resource section is in the content of the output, of your output. The content property of your output. And let's give it an example output. Okay, and this is the example output that we're expecting the AI to do. And then let's say resources section in this property as well. Okay, now let's see how this works. Okay, so it gave us a nice structured output. I think that one-shot example helped out a lot. Cool. And looks like we did all those. So let's pin this, and I'm hoping to look back at our newsletter and we'll have a beautifully formatted newsletter in Notion that includes our resources and the links used in the web search. Okay, let's go back over here. All right, and so it gave us just the description, which is good, but it missed the link. So what happened here? It probably happened in this one. Did it even? Okay, let's see if it even included links in our content. So let's go right here. So yeah, it included links, but this guy didn't read that. Okay, I'm thinking we also give this one an example of how to work with our URLs. Let's go down here. Yeah, so let's say we have, so if we have this URL, let's go into our system message. And oh, I forgot right here, this is no longer a JSON. This will be, Markdown. So I'm just changing up this example to make sure that it understands that it's receiving Markdown, not a JSON. That was from the last video. Sorry, it's getting a little messy now. But now I want to give it another example where we have something like this. And what was the exact output it gave us? Yeah, it just gave us that. So I'm not sure why, but my camera cut out right there. But I just wanted to show you guys, all I did was I made sure to include this italic property in our JSON object. And then I fixed this example right here because before it was a JSON, which applied to our previous video. But instead of a JSON object as our input, we have Markdown formatting. So I changed this to Markdown formatting and then changed the corresponding output. And then I also gave it another example so that it knows how to deal with our URLs. And so what I told it basically is if you get something like this, which is how we prompted our AI writer to do it, if you get something like this, split it into two different outputs. And one of them will be a regular paragraph and you can bold it. And then the other one will still be our paragraph type, but then our link will be true. So that'll be good. And then I also said down here, when given a URL, make sure it is its own block and always set the link property to true. Cool. So that's all I did. And so now let's unpin all these and let's run it up to here. Okay, so it looks like that just finished running. And now let's go back to our Notion page and see what happened. Okay, so it looks good. Cool, cool, cool. All right, nice. And so it looks like we've included our URL description and the URL, so that's good. Let's just make sure, these are actual working URLs. Okay, cool. So they are. And the thing is, I would like this to be bolded, but I don't want to get too deep into like the system messages, but all you would do is basically change the system message to say, hey, in the resources section, when you give that brief description, make it bold. Honestly, let's just do that. That's not like a hard fix. So let's just go over here to our AI writer, go right here, and then just go down to our system message. And let's just say for right here, for this brief description, let's make this bold. Make sure each description of the URL is bolded. And this resource section is in the constant property of your output. Okay, cool. And then that should be good. But I'm not gonna rerun this because I'm happy with the output that we got over here. I know with business newsletters, they need to be predictable and formatted beautifully. So if you are not getting the output you want, that's just a simple tweak to the system prompt. But yeah, this should be good. Okay, let's spin all these. And then one last thing I want to go over that I actually should have touched upon beforehand is that we have this niches Google Sheet, okay? And we only have one niche, but what if we have another one? Like I want to talk about geopolitics because this is very controversial and hot. It's always going to be hot. So let's say for our keywords like USA, China, oh, and make sure they're like this, USA, China, government, environment. Okay, like this is geopolitics, USA, China, government, environment, and you can add other keywords obviously, but right now we have more than one niche. So if we go over here, we want to run this whole thing for each niche, right? Because we want to create a whole new page in our Notion database for that niche, right? And if we go back here, we want to run this whole process for each niche we talk about, each thing we write about in our Notion database. So over here, actually, right here, after our get rows in a sheet, we're going to do loop. And this is going to loop over each niche item from our Google Sheet. So I'll show you what that looks like. And yeah, this will be in the loop section because we want to do this whole process for each niche, like I've been saying. Okay, and here, let me unpin this and then let me rerun this. Right, so now we have two items. Okay, let me pin that. Okay, and then what we need to do is go back over here because there's something wrong with this wait. It's going to make us wait 1 day for each time you run it. So that means if we keep it in this loop scope, it's going to run for 2 days because it's going to run once for AI and technology and then another time for geopolitics. So let's take this guy out of the loop. And then actually we also want to take the Twitter post because we want to create the Twitter post after we've waited. So let's grab all these. And then these will be when we're done. We're going to wait and create our Twitter post. Cool. And then we do have to connect this back into our loop. So this should be good. I'm just going to make sure this runs and then see what the output is like. Okay, so it output 2 items. And they look like this. Okay, and let's see if this poses a problem when we connect it up. I'm guessing it will. Here, let me get rid of this wait now just to see if it poses a problem with our Twitter. So it's actually not posing a problem, but I'm wondering, Is that right? I'm not too sure. We might need to run this whole thing again, just without this. Yeah, I'm gonna see how this works if we run the whole thing again. This is gonna be crazy. We're gonna test the whole thing end to end. Okay, and then I remember I saw this error. We have to use first right here. Okay, yeah, that was about to make an error. Okay. Whew. You guys ready? Let's run it. Okay, and actually while that's running, I'm gonna go over here and delete this. And we should see 2 new pages on geopolitics and AI technology. So I'm gonna fast forward to when the system is fully run and is complete. And if there's any issues, I'll show you guys what happens. Whew. Wow. I'm proud of that. That all ran perfectly, just how we expected. Let's pin all this, man. Okay, and then to finally answer my question to see if it is a problem or not with our X node, let's see. And it's actually not. It's not a problem. Beautiful. So this is one. Oh wait, no, it may be a problem, right? Because we need to do maybe item instead of first. How about this item? Yeah. Cool. So change those to item. All right, that's looking much better. All right, and then finally, what we need to do is for this wait node, we still are gonna wait a day, and right now it's in seconds, but it should be days. I think in this resume parameter, we can do, yeah, at a specified time, because the reason I'm changing this is because we're receiving, I don't know if you guys can see, but we are receiving 2 items. So that means this node is gonna run 2 times. If we set the wait time to be a day, it's gonna run for 2 days, and you don't want it to do that. And you also don't wanna cut it down to like, oh, why don't we just set it for 12 hours? Then now it's not dynamic. Let's say you wanna have 3 or 4 niches, then it's gonna run 3 or 4 times, and then you're back to, 2 days. So what we wanna do is now in this node, in this wait node, we'll do specified time, and then this is gonna be really easy. We're just gonna do now dot plus 1, and then I think it's is it day? 1 day. Cool. And then yeah, this is awesome. So this is what it's gonna look like, but actually let's just do this. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just want to see if this X tweet will work. So let me just run that. Okay. And so in our X tweet, let's see if it, okay, it changes. All right, this is good. This means that after we wait that day, it is gonna make 2 posts for each Notion page we create. So now I know that when I run this, it'll be good to go. So now let's go back here and then just paste in that. Okay. All right, guys, we are done. We are finally done. The last thing to do is go into our Notion and check if we did everything. So it looks like we created 2 pages with stuff in them. Boom. Nice. So we do have that bolded description now with our link. Let's go over here to our geopolitics one. Same thing. Boom. So now that you've gone through this whole video, props to you if you made it all the way to the end. You've seen what it's like to go through a full automation with all the hiccups and obstacles that get in your way. And we made it to the end, and finally we have this beautifully formatted Notion page that can act as our daily newsletter. And it's not just an email newsletter, it's interactive. People can comment and discuss on it, which is going to be a higher return on investment because you're going to get a lot more engagement this way, I would say. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please feel free to leave a comment on the next AI system you guys want to see me build. And please reach out if you have any questions. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and I would appreciate all the support I can get. So please subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I will see you guys in the next video.